Hi, my name is Sonya Amrita, and this is the final of 3 videos about the journey of awakening to God and the journey of healing from childhood wounds and trauma, and how these 2 paths can feed each other, accelerate each other, and how your healing journey can truly transform and you can experience liberation while you simultaneously deepen your awakening. So I hope you had a chance to watch the first 2 videos, because in those 2 videos we talk about the foundation of this topic, which is the dark side of awakening, why these emotional imprints, wounds, and trauma can come up despite sometimes decades of healing, and the unique way that we have to meet and address these experiences inside of us on an awakening journey. In this video, I'm talking about my personal experience of awakening and liberating my own experience of childhood trauma and being raped, and how that completely changed my perspective on the healing journey and also deepened my awakening. I'll also be talking about the 2 key perspectives I've learned that are so helpful to have in the 3rd phase of healing, and I'll continue the story of my client Lisa and how these 2 unique perspectives helped transform her journey in the 3rd phase of healing. So on my very first silent retreat with my teacher Aja Shanti, I think we were at a beautiful retreat site called Mount Madonna. And I was sitting in silent meditation, and I had an opening to consciousness, to the divine. And these kinds of experiences are really impossible to do justice in words, but what I can name for you is I remember experiencing the quality of vastness, but also a quality of unity and oneness in that vastness. I remember feeling so much lighter, like I wasn't the same self that I thought I was, and maybe I didn't even exist the way I thought anyway at all. I remember feeling a quality of love. I remember feeling so much light. And I was just sitting in this awakened consciousness and sustaining this consciousness when I heard a little voice arise from somewhere inside of me that said, "Oh yeah? Well, can all this grace and light, does that really live even in the moment when you were being raped?" And right in that moment, I was plunged into the memory of being raped. And there were a couple episodes in my childhood of being raped. And so I was in the feeling of it, I was in the trauma of it, the fear of it, all of it. But simultaneously, I was still having that experience of awakened consciousness. So it was like 2 things were happening simultaneously. And so I just sat in the memory of being raped even while I was in awakened consciousness. And here's what I noticed. I noticed that I was never truly harmed or wounded. Didn't take away from the fact that what the rapist did was wrong. Didn't take away from the fact that nothing about that moment was okay. That's all true. But I could find within myself that I was always whole, inherently whole, deeply one with all things, even in the act of something as violent as rape. I could feel in that moment of trauma how the divine was always there, how love was always there. And just because the man in front of me had chosen darkness instead of truth, didn't suddenly negate God. And because I was able to sit and be with all of that all at once, then the next thing that happened for me was I began to feel a kind of shaking in my body where the imprints of the trauma of being raped started to lift out of my cells and out of my body. And what was really interesting for me was that even though I'd done a lot of healing leading up to that point, some leftover identity of being a survivor of rape just started to dissolve. It started to unravel. And I couldn't have known it at the time. I didn't notice it until probably several weeks later. But all of the energy and charge that had been in my body since those moments in my childhood were gone and have remained gone. I didn't know that this was possible. And I will say again, as I said, I think in the first video, that it doesn't mean that the past was erased. If anything, I just have a deeper acceptance of what happened, a deeper compassion for all beings who suffer on both sides of trauma, and I have a deeper sense of forgiveness too. So there's a lot that you could take from this story, but I want to pull out two particular things that I learned in my experience. And these are two pathways of the healing and awakening journey that I've learned were very useful for me and have been useful for many, or if not all, of the clients that I've worked with. Now, keep in mind that your healing and awakening journey, of course, is going to be completely unique, completely distinct. Mine was. Everybody's journey is completely different. And so these two pathways might get applied in totally different ways for you. But you can see as you listen to me if one or both of them might be relevant or supportive or affirming for you. So the first pathway of healing and awakening is to meet the wound or the trauma or the young voice with awakened consciousness, with truth, with wisdom, with divine love, to truly meet it. As you heard in my story, I stayed in that wisdom. I didn't completely buy into the experience of being raped. I never lost my center in awakened consciousness. That can be incredibly powerful. Now, in Lisa's case, when Lisa was in the trauma that I described for you in the last video, when she was stuck in that little childhood survival experience of being abandoned and alone, she didn't have the clarity to simultaneously have that awakened consciousness present with her at the same time. So what we did for Lisa was I guided her through a process of accessing her wisdom and love and awakened consciousness. And together, she and I, as the voice of awakened consciousness, were able to basically bridge the gap between her wisdom and the wounded part of her. It's an extraordinarily powerful process. And as I mentioned in the second video, sometimes these wounds need to hear spiritual truths in just the right way. And the best way to do that is to meet them authentically from wisdom and with wisdom. The second pathway for awakening and healing is to steep in the divine. Steep in oneness, steep in awakened consciousness, steep in infinite love. I talked about in the second video how if we don't embody the spiritual truths that we know, if we don't integrate them into ourselves, that these wounds can stay activated because they're looking for liberation. So when we allow ourselves to just steep in the truth, like for example, steeping in the truth that all is one and that we are inherently whole and part of the infinite love, the longer we steep in it, the more it has a chance to penetrate even the deepest parts of our body and the deepest parts of the unconscious. Here again, for Lisa, what we used a combination of intention, we used energy, and we used silence and focused sitting time to allow her to steep in these divine truths in awakened consciousness until she could feel the shift in her body. Lisa's journey was kind of incredible. Even though it took her some weeks to integrate the work that we'd done together, she was able to really free up some old anger that had been stored in her body towards her parents. She was able to liberate little holdings she had she didn't even know she was holding, and experience a freedom and a clarity in her own body, of course, but also too in her romantic partnership where the trauma had come up originally. So first, I want to emphasize again that if you are committed to awakening and you are committed to your healing journey, then whatever you need to experience in terms of liberation and freedom and healing in your life is possible for you. This is all about realizing whatever your divine potential looks like, whatever that might be on your journey. And if these videos have been helpful for you, maybe just watching these was enough. Maybe it was affirming, maybe it opened some door for you. And if you feel complete, that is a beautiful gift. If there's something in you that's moving forward or leaning forward and wants more, either wants more information or more support, more tools, more technical experience of what I've been talking about in these 3 videos, then I have another free offering for you if it's of interest. And that is a teleseminar. So this will be an experiential conference call together. It will have energy work as part of it and more tools and more teaching. It's on September 4th. It's called Liberate Childhood Wounds, Tools for Transformation. If you're called to it, I hope you'll join us. The link is below. I want to thank you all again for listening to these videos, for watching, for engaging, for being present. And I just want to honor you and thank you for being on your unique journey. There's a way in which nobody knows what it's like to be you. And I so honor the wisdom that you have and the unique insights that you're going to have on your journey and process. If you're moved to share them with me, I would truly love to hear them. Blessings for your journey. And again, namaste.